Welcome to Mainstream with Harpreet Singh Toor. आप सबनों प्यार भरी सत श्री अकाल, नमस्कार, आदाब and shalom. The election is coming around the corner and we have exactly 4 weeks left. November 5th is the election day. And some of the states are already voting, mail-in voting. And the other states, it will start soon. And also, early voting will start in New York. It's going to be as of October 26th. And like I mentioned earlier, that I am one of the candidates, but I'm not going to talk about my policies and everything here. Letting you know that make sure that you are registered and you go out and vote. Why I'm saying it? Because immediately after the elections are over, the elected officials, they look at who voted, which community came out to vote, and what area actually was voting more proportionately than to other area. You know, they have these, they call ED, electoral districts. Within those electoral districts, they look at it, that who is doing what and how many people voted, and anybody picking up the call from that electoral district gets, the services better than anybody else, and they get paid more attention than anybody else. So please, 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 November 5th is the date when the presidential election is taking place, and along with that, New York State is holding its New York State Assembly District, and there are some senatorial districts also for US Senate, not the local state Senate, but I'm talking about US Senate, some of the states. And it is very important that we go out and vote. Now, having said that, we just had a Hurricane Helene, which hit south east of US between, in the Gulf of Mexico. Then it came up through, hit Atlanta, Georgia, and North Carolina. In North Carolina, there are few towns, they just have been wiped away by this Hurricane Helene. And the communities there are not out of that shock yet, because when they walked out after the hurricane, what they saw was just the devastation and nothing else. Now, Hurricane Milton is hitting Florida, and it is already category 4. It is going to go to category 5 before it hits the land, where it is assumed that it will be a hurricane of category 3 when it hits the land. It is one of the most powerful hurricane to hit that part of Florida since 1921. So what does that mean? That means that the population in 1921 was a couple of 100,000. Now it is more than 3 million. The surge is more than 8 to 12 feet, and evacuations, mandatory evacuations have been ordered. And climate change is one of the biggest part that why the hurricane is so strong, and they get so strong so quickly. And there is so much moisture, the rain actually can run into anywhere from 4 to 6 to 8 inches, depending on where you are. And just imagine that much rain in a very short span. There is no system infrastructure wise which can contain or hold that kind of water to clear it properly. So definitely flooding is going to take place, and there is going to be a huge disruption of life. But what other thing which is interesting is that these people actually, the politicians, because it's the middle of election, Trump, he's known for lying everything, and he's already lying about it. He's lying about it. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, MTG, she even said that Democrats are creating it. what shocks me is that how America came to this point where we have these people who even don't have any brains, and people still vote for them. When Trump was president, he actually altered with a Sharpie, it was known as Sharpie Gate, the route of a hurricane than what the National Weather Services were predicting. So what happened? Yes, National Weather Services did not counter it. They should have done it. And who got paid? Who paid the price for that? The people who were actually into the way of that hurricane, where it was originally projected that this is the route it is going to go and this is the route it is going to take. And now he is already lying about everything, about the hurricane, about the services being provided. Even FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, has put up on their website to do not believe any information. Double check, triple check it. Yeah, you got information, but before you believe it, make sure you check it. So, in other words, we are in the United States where I never thought we will be. That a person who was the president of the United States, he used to lie a lot at that time, but now the limit of the lies he has crossed. He goes on making up the stories, making up the stuff which is not there, which never existed. And the people who believe him, they are not only just hurting themselves, but they are hurting the others also within their sphere. There are families who actually got torn apart because of the rhetoric which comes out from this man's mouth. One day it is people eating cats and dogs, the other day it is the hurricane people who got affected, they are not getting services. And believe it or not, one of the person who was very close with him when he was the president, who worked with him, actually made a statement that if Donald Trump gets elected to be the president, and God forbid any state which did not vote for him got hit by any catastrophic event, a hurricane or flooding or anything, he will not release the funding for that. So if you are part of those blue states, be ready for that roller coaster also if he gets elected. Yeah, Kamala Harris is not perfect, no doubt about it. There are some policies which she finally has started coming out. And those policies, yes, they need to be looked at. And some of the people, when they are talking about, that she's not any different from Joe Biden was implementing Democratic Party's agenda. So Kamala Harris is Democrat, so she has to look at that agenda. It's not an agenda where how you will strip the people out of your rights, how you will, give the guns to the people to go out and kill each other, which literally is happening in the United States. United States is the only industrial nation which actually has more guns per head and more murders per 1,000 people, because the guns are so easy to get and so easy to carry in all those states. There is a rush to give the people of those states the right to, carry the gun, show the gun, stand your ground, all that stuff. And like I was mentioning about the hurricane and the response to hurricane, let's not forget one thing. When any catastrophic event hits any state, the responsibility of the governor of that state is to take care of the people of his state without paying politics. But the Trump administration and the former President Trump, he has made the politics so much uh, dirty, or maybe even toxic, that people are not even secondary on these electors' mind. They are somewhere all the way down, somewhere. You know, those people who remember Chris Christie when Obama came to New Jersey, that picture of Chris Christie with Obama was used and abused by the then candidate Donald Trump to get him kicked out of the campaign. Why? Because Chris Christie was a Republican governor and Obama was a Democratic president. President actually came to visit the damage done. The current president, Joe Biden, he went in to look at the damage done into North Carolina because it is hilly area. He took a tour in the helicopter, and also I'm assuming one of the other reason was because if you go by ground to the places, you are actually diverting the efforts of the people who are trying to put normal life back on feet. Kamala Harris, the vice president, tried to reach out to Governor of Florida, DeSantis, about this Milton hurricane which is going to hit Florida. He refused to take the call. So what actually is happening here? The politics and animosity about each other has grown so much that the people who actually suffer because of these things, they are not even on their minds. And for a person like me, I know my mom always used to tell me, why you? And I always used to tell her that somebody got to say it, somebody got to do it. So people paying with their lives, paying with their near and dear ones, either dying or having suffer from all these tragedies, trying to cope with it. Most of the people, they actually look somebody who can just put a hand to calm them down and give them a shoulder so that they can cry on it. They will work on getting back their life. There is only so much government can do, and they expect that, okay, whatever the government can do, fine, we will do the rest. And they do it. But here, that is not even being done. Why? Because of this toxic politics. Former President Trump, he was in Butler County at the same spot where he got shot. And Elon Musk, out of everybody, he's a businessman. He should know what the hell he's talking about. No. Trump and his family said that the Democrats are, bent on killing Trump. Guess what? The guy who actually shot at Trump was a Republican, registered Republican, voted for Republicans. And I mentioned on my show previously also that God forbid that he's not a Democrat. Thank God he was not a Democrat. He did give $20 to some Democratic candidate at one point, but that's it. Now here is this person who is trying to be the president again, who is saying that FBI should be eliminated, or it should be that anybody who is registered as a Democrat, if he's a Republican president, then kick them out. Kick them out of the agency. The agents, the FBI agents, the CIA agents, they do not work based on who they voted for. Actually, former President Donald Trump was the only president in history who actually went to CIA headquarters to show off and make some political points out of that, even though he was discouraged not to do it, because being a president, they cannot completely say no to him. The only president who did that. Then the only president who actually went to Arlington Cemetery, Section 17, I think that's what it is called, which is the most revered of the whole place. Political opportunity. And when this guard over there, he objected to it, his staff and everybody, they said, well, he was deranged and, he was mental, this and that. No, he was not mental. I'm glad that the agency which takes care of the Arlington Cemetery, they came out to defend this gentleman. I'm really happy about it, that he was doing his duty. Who was deranged? Who was actually, out of his mind? It was Donald Trump and his family and whosoever else participated in that whole scheme of the things. Even the family which invited him, I don't know if they actually, knew that it will be used as a political opportunity. Even one of his cabinet minister member from Donald Trump, I think it was Riley, his son died actually, and his son is buried in there. Even he was not happy about it, that this is happening. So now just imagine, my concern actually is that we, in these 4 weeks, which way we want our country to go, what kind of future we want for our kids and our grandkids and their kids, and so on. America actually still is on top. When he talks about make America great again, no. America was made great by the people who came before him. Even though there are people who I did not agree with the policies, but they always looked for the country and the people and the Constitution, and they tried to work within the laws of the land. The only person who breaks the laws of the land every time, breathing in, breathing out, is this former president Donald Trump. And then his followers, they cheer. Just imagine if you are going out there and you break the law and the cops come to arrest you or somebody within your family members. Would you cheer it that he was breaking the law? Or you will be like, oh, he should not have done that. I just don't get it, that how come here people are not saying at all that why he did this. Not at all. This is something which actually makes me, how should I put it down, that I feel like let down by the leadership, more by Republicans. There are some Democrats also. I'm not saying that in Democratic Party they're all saints. No, they're not. They're not. But I definitely feel like that this country is being let down by the, those elected congressmen and senators and the presidents, whereas they are supposed to hold it together and make it a better place to live. This is really interesting that, yeah, I have talked about all this, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about, I think I need to discuss the international politics, because United States elections get affected by international politics, and there are countries out there who have their interests. Just this morning, I got a news that Trump secretly sent the COVID testing kits to Vladimir Putin. You know, I'm not saying why he did it, but the question for me is right here, the people who needed it most. And you're looking at the one who was declined to be given the test because I was told literally that there are no kits available to test you. Even one of the state assembly person, when he called me, we had a conversation. I told him that I can't do anything right now. I'm done with COVID and I think I got COVID. Da, da, da. He said, Harpreet, let me see if I can get you a test kit. Now I'm talking about the assemblyman of New York State. Okay. Monday around 11 o'clock. I had a conversation with him on Friday afternoon. Monday before noon, I got a call from him and he said, Harpreet, I'm sorry, I can't do anything. Those kits are not available. And here, millions of people were dying. Millions of people died because of COVID, while he was telling the people to inject yourself with chlorine. You know, he got treatment from COVID because the best treatment which was available to anybody anywhere in the world, he got it. But he never admitted that he got COVID. Once when he did, he got booed by his own people, his own crowd. And I honestly, I still don't know, maybe it's just me, that why these people actually listen to him, trust him, still believe in whatever he lies about all the time. Why would they do that? I have no idea. I really wish I can answer that. But going back to the international politics, Israel opened up another front by attacking Lebanon, Hezbollah in Lebanon. Gaza is more than 70% totally destroyed, housing-wise. More than 40,000 people dead, maybe 50,000. That's the official number. How many actually died, we will never know. Now Israel opened up another front in Lebanon. Benjamin Netanyahu, he doesn't care about anybody. He's taking the full advantage of this situation. He refused to listen to President Joe Biden, even though President Joe Biden did go to Israel, visit Israel after 1 year of October 7th last year when it happened. No. You know, those people who are hostages, they need to be released immediately, number one. Number two, there should be a ceasefire immediately. Let's not forget, at the end of the day, war is not the solution. Everything actually ends on the table where you sit down, you negotiate, you come to an agreement, and then you implement that. And Benjamin Netanyahu is refusing that. Why? Because he's trying to make, number one, he wants to take maximum benefit out of it. Number two, he does not want a Democrat getting elected to White House again. He wants Trump to come back into the White House because the mess which is in Middle East right now, it's actually, if you really start looking at it broadly, it is the making of the Trump. When he just rolled out that, okay, you can move Jerusalem as, Israel's capital and some other things and everything. That was the reason, we, especially the audience which is watching this, I don't know how many among you really pay attention to these small details, that they do matter. North Korea and Soviet Union, they are close to each other much more than what they were ever. Why? Because North Korea needs the technology to improve its missile and delivery system, and Russia needs ammunition from North Korea. And the possibility of another war between North Korea and South Korea, it went up. North Korea has a nuclear weapon, South does not. And then here is a China factor. There are parts of Russia which China claims. And China has actually, issued some government maps showing, some of the Russian part as its own, like China always does, showing some of the parts which belong to India as their own country part, So these are the factors. Then Iran is another factor. Here is the Shia and Sunni issue. We have Saudi Arabia and we have Iran. One is Shia, one is Sunni. And they actually are each other's neck with a knife. They may live together in those countries, they may work together in those countries, but internally, they just don't like each other because their way of following is different. And Iran wants its own sphere where they can, have their say. And when Iran is pursuing nuclear weapon, one of the reasons is because Iran has always been afraid that the Western powers, with the help of Israel, one way or the other, will try to break or, diminish Iran. And if you look at the way the things go, if you are in those shoes, you will also think like that. But if you talk to the other side, they will give you the whole different picture. And believe me, none of them are actually telling you the facts. Facts are somewhere in the middle, which you need to dig out. And when you try to make sense out of these things, then what happens is that then you start looking at and learning about, how the things sometimes are not what you see on the face. There are other layers underneath. And that is something, which we need to understand, because this presidential election is so much important, not just for the United States, but for the rest of the world, if you really pay attention to it. And if you really want something solid, that, okay, we do not want another, world war and another breakdown in the system, which has been helping keeping the wars at minimum. It's not that there are no wars going on. There are wars going on. But to keep it at minimum possible, that system, that whole thing is being challenged right now by the big powers who have their own interests. We should never forget that there are basically two blocks of power. One is Western Alliance, which is headed by United States, and the other one is the other alliance, which was and still is headed by Russia, within Christianity also. And those are the things which actually, to those people who rule, matter most than anything else. And then top of that, then when we have the population which is so much into the new world of social media, and they even don't go out and look, we definitely have an issue. So we need to open up our eyes. We need to understand the issues the way they should be. And we need to work to get to the result where we learn how to live with each other, how we agree to disagree, and then move on. With that note, till next time, good night and good luck.